Hey guys, and welcome to 5.2. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about multiplying polynomials. All right, so let's get started. The first thing that we want to talk about is our properties listed here at the top. So when you multiply like bases, you're going to add your exponents. When you have a product raised to a power, you're going to give that power, you're going to distribute that power through and give it to both terms. And then when you raise a power to a power, you're going to multiply those powers. So a to the m to the n is going to be a to the m times n. All right, let's get started. The properties start to take life as you use them. So on number one, when you multiply like bases, you add exponents. So this is going to be x to the 16th plus 4, which is x to the 20th. Okay, and that's how you do that. All right, it doesn't matter how many terms you have. So this is going to be 8 plus 2 plus 5, so it's going to be 8 to the 15th. All right, now, number 3, you have that negative there. Inside the parentheses, squared. All right, anytime the negative is inside the parentheses and the exponent is on the outside of the parentheses, it applies to that exponent is going to apply to everything on the inside of that parentheses. And so when you square a negative 11 and the negative is included like it is here, then that's going to be a positive 121, and then that's going to be x squared. If the negative was on the outside, that would be a negative 121x squared. And so there's a subtle difference, but if it's inside the parentheses and included, then that's what you get. So be careful about that. Okay, on number 4, I'm going to apply I'm going to apply the power of 6 to the negative 2 and the 8. And yes, because the negative is inside, that's going to be a positive. But let me do this in 2 steps. And it's going to be positive, so this is going to be positive 2 to the 6. And when you raise the power to the power, you multiply. So this is going to be 8 times 6, which is 48. And then 2 to the 6 is going to be 64. Y to the 48. Okay? All right, so you have 2 to the first is 2, 2 to the squared is 4, 2 cubed is 8, so on and so forth. You keep doubling until you get to the 6, and you get 64 for that. Okay. Number 5. Here, it's just a straight multiplication. 5 times 3 is 15. X times x is x squared. Remember, if you don't see it, it's understood 1 here. Okay, and when you multiply like basis, you add the exponents. So 15x squared is my answer. It doesn't matter how many terms I have. All right, so 3 times negative 4 times 6. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12, times 6 is negative 72. And then x cubed, x, and x squared, you're essentially adding up your x's. That's a total of 6. That's going to be x to the 6th. Okay, so negative 72, x to the 6th. All right, 7. Here, I'm going to take the 8y squared because it's only the one term, and I'm going to distribute it everywhere. So I'm going to take this, and I'll give it to every term on the inside. Okay, so this is going to be 8 times 4 is 32. Y squared times y squared is y to the 4th. 8 times negative 5 is negative 40. Y squared times y is y cubed. 8 times 7 is 56. And then you got y squared that's just going to hang out. There's nothing to multiply by, so it tags along. And then that is your answer. Now, 8. This is very similar to 7, except you're going to take the x, you're going to give it to everything, and then once you're done with the x, then you come back and you got the 7, and you give it to everything. So you just do one thing at a time, distributing both terms one at a time. All right, so x times x is x squared. X times 9 is 9x. And then you're done with x, now move to 7. 7 times x is 7x. All right, and then 7 times 9 is 63. Clean up what you need to. So x squared, 9 and 7 is going to be 16. And then 63. And that's going to be your answer. Okay, now, same thing here. A while ago, it was 8. You had a binomial times a binomial. Now you have a binomial times a trinomial, but the same process works. I'm going to take x and give it to everything here, and then we'll come back and get the 2, give it to everything there. So it's going to be x times x squared is going to be x cubed. That's going to be x times 2x is 2x squared. X times 9 is 9x. That's going to be, come back and get the 2. 2 times x squared, that's going to be 2x squared. 2 times 2x is 4x. And then 2 times 9 is 18. Again, let's mark up my like terms. I don't have more than 1x cubed. So I got x squared here and here, and x here and here. You have x cubed plus 2 and 2 is 4. That's 4x squared. 9 and 4 is 13. That's 13x. And then you have 18. All right? Easy peasy. Just like that. That's how it's done. And just like adding and subtracting, you can multiply these things vertically. All right? But you want to do you want to be careful here. So let me talk you through this. The first one's probably pretty obvious to you. So negative 5 times 7, that's going to give you negative 35. Negative 5 times negative 5, that's going to give you positive 25x. All right, and then negative 5 times x squared is going to be negative 5x squared. Okay, so now you're done with the negative 5. It's time to move on to the 4. Okay. Here, it's not overly complicated, but some students struggle over it, so bear with me. 4x, you're going to take this term and you're going to multiply it here. So 4x times 7 is going to give you 28x. You're not going to put 28x here because that would not be a like term. You're going to put like term over like terms. So the 20x is going to live here, not here. Okay. Also, you want to line it up with where the 4x is. The 4x is over that, and you want to line it up. It's very similar to like if you had 435, let's say, times 23. All right. First of all, you would multiply, that would be 15, carry the 1, that would be 10, that would be 12, 13, and then you would be done with that, do with that. All right, and then 2 times 5, all right, you would bring it here, then keep going, 6, 7, and then that would be 8, and you do that. You do that. Sometimes they tell you to include the 0, but it's the same. What you did before is the same thing. The only difference is you're not actually multiplying by 2 here, you're multiplying by 20, which is why you shift it over some. And that's the same thing we're doing here. Okay, so I hope that was clear. But when I take the 4 and multiply it by the 7, it's going to give me 28x, and I'm going to put it under the other x term. And then 4 times 5 is going to give me, or 4 times negative 5 is going to be negative 20. And the x times x is x squared, so you get negative 20x squared. 4x times x squared is going to be 4x cubed. And then you add. So you got negative 35. 25 and 28 is going to be 53. X plus, and then it's going to be minus 25x squared. And it's going to be 4x cubed. Okay, so that's how you do that. It can be done. You don't have to do it that way, but it can be done. Now, on 11, PEMDAS says I have to multiply and divide before I add and subtract. So I need to multiply everything first. So let's do this. We got x times x is x squared. We have x times negative 5, that's negative 5x. It's going to be 4x. That's going to be negative 20 minus, and then I'm going to open parentheses or a bracket here, some kind of grouping symbol, because once I'm done multiplying, I have to distribute that negative. Okay, so that's going to be x times x is x squared. X times negative 6 is negative 6x. It's going to be 2x. That's going to be negative 12. All right, now I am going to combine like terms, and then I'm going to distribute that negative. Well, I say combine like terms. I'm going to clean up what I just did, and then combine like terms after I distribute the negative. So I'm going to do a few more steps before I finish this up. Negative 5 and positive 4, that's going to be negative x minus 20 minus, and that's going to be x squared. Negative 6x plus 2x is going to be minus 4x minus 12. All right, now I'm going to distribute that negative. That's going to be x squared minus x minus 20 minus x squared plus 4x and plus 12. Now, you'll notice I have an x squared, a positive x squared, and minus x squared, so I'm going to get rid of those. And then let's see, I have a constant term, or x term there and there, constant term here and here. All right, so now I can combine, clean this up. That's going to be 3x. And that's going to be minus 8. So this big nasty thing turned into something simple, a binomial of 3x minus 8. And that's how you multiply polynomials. I hope you got something out of this. And if you have any questions, please reach out, and I'll see you in the next video.